All right, we got a sweep attempt thwarted, but either way, Kyle Larson ends up victorious in Homestead-Miami, and let's go ahead and get into it. All right, if you're new here, welcome. This is Big Motor Small Blade. I'm Seth. If you're not new here, then welcome back. Yeah, NASCAR Cup Series and all three series actually just got done at Homestead-Miami, literally 10 minutes ago now, as I'm recording this. I'm trying something new, putting it out a little bit later, not doing it on the night of. It ends up going out a little too late, so we'll see how that goes. But yeah, Kyle Larson won. If you were living under a rock, and I don't know why you'd be watching this video if you didn't know that, but anyway. Yeah, he attempted the complete weekend sweep that had only been done by Kyle Busch and Kyle Busch. So he obviously, we'll just go through that briefly. What spun out on Friday in the truck race with about 30 or 40 laps to go, I can't remember exactly. And then the 11 car of Corey, or the 11 truck, of Corey Heim, nearly should have won that race, let's be real, and had his engine just started shutting off on him. I don't really understand the specifics of all that. It's a ECU thing or whatever, but yeah, he got kind of hosed on that one by his own equipment. Unfortunate, it happens. But Kyle Larson came in and picked up the pieces, ripping the lip at the end of that race and blowing by everybody, and won that one. Move on to Saturday. Kyle, absolute ass whooping. He was in the lead by, I believe, 16 seconds over second place Sam Mayer. When the caution came out, it was the 54 of whomever. I don't even really remember off the top of my head. But yeah, that drew the caution. And then Sam Mayer jumped the restart, let's be honest. I don't understand how that's not a penalty, whatever. Jumped the restart, slammed him in the ass pretty hard, and yeah, that was kind of the end of that one. Ultimately, Kyle had a short or a long run car anyway. The 41 was better on a short run, so I don't know. I think maybe if Sam had just gone to the outside and gotten a decent enough restart, I think he probably could have beat Kyle anyway. He could have won the $100,000 Xfinity Dash for cash, and then not giving it away to Justin Allgaier, but hey, that's the way it goes. So anyway, coming into today, just specifically talking about Kyle Larson here, since that was the sweep attempt. Started today, I believe 14th. Didn't look great at the start. It was tough going, passing on equal, all things equal. It was tough going. And then he and Denny Hamlin specifically played what ultimately wound up being the correct strategy of staying out longer than everybody else and getting a tire advantage at the end of a run. And they did it on both stages and gained significant time in both of them. And in the second stage, it led to both of them coming to the line side by side, and Hamlin nearly edging by Kyle. Sorry, my inner NASCAR came out. But yeah, fast forward to toward the end of stage 3. It really did not look like it was going to happen the way it ended up. Bubba Wallace, who was really good on short runs, the run previously, he was able to hold off the 5 and the 11 at that point. Or was it the 24? Yeah, it was the 24. Excuse me. The 24, the 5, and the 11. He was able to hold them off really good by just planting the car on the wall pretty much and just not letting it go. And it looked like that was going to be the case again. The 5 was struggling. He got passed by the 19 of Chase Briscoe, which shout out to them. They actually had a good run today. First time all season, I think, that they've had a good run, or at least one that didn't end poorly. So good day for them. But anyway, 5 got passed by them and then nearly got passed by the 11. He kept putting it in the wall and was struggling, this, that, and the other. So anyway, up front, Alex Bowman just got better toward the middle of the part of that run, blew by the 23 car, and not blew by. I mean, it wasn't the hardest looking pass I've ever seen. I'll put it that way. The 23, excuse me, 23 was really definitely falling off there toward the end of that run, but again, not terribly. It just he didn't quite have the consistency that the 48 had, and then finally with I think it was only like 20 laps to go specifically, you started to notice it seemed like a switch flipped, and the 5 car just started mowing him down. And he came back he was about 3.5 seconds back with about 25 to go, to suddenly, literally all of a sudden, it was 2 seconds, got by Briscoe, got by Bubba, and here he comes with 0.7 of a second deficit, and it was going to be hard to pass. It looked like it was going to be hard to pass, and then unfortunately for Alex Bowman, he put it in the wall a little too hard. Kyle Larson was able to get away with it several times. I mean, they were joking, keeping up with it. I don't know if Boyer was actually counting it or not. He said 17 at one point. Based off the way that was going, I'm going to guess it was more, because I think he was kind of strategically rubbing it up against the wall a little bit. That might sound a little weird, but I mean, if you've ever watched guys like Kyle, guys like Tyler Reddick run at Homestead and these other racetracks, they're kind of halfway yawed out, kind of rubbing the right rear quarter panel on the wall. Really, it kind of stables the car out, and they can just push it way harder than anyone else who really doesn't know how to do that. And yeah, you could see the difference when the 48 got in the wall. He wasn't trying to do that, and it completely sucked the front end back up into the wall. And that's pretty much all she wrote. It took Kyle maybe a lap or two to kind of get used to the aero difference up front. You could see the car got looser, and then he just kind of kept putting it in the wall anyway. Like I said, that's what leads me to believe it was on purpose, because he just kind of did it even when he didn't need to. Like, I mean, the last corner of the last lap, if I'm looking in my mirror on the last lap and I see a guy second plus back, I'm running the middle. But I'm not Kyle Larson. I don't have 30 career Cup Series wins. All right, now that we've gotten through all of that, what do we think of the race? What did I think of the race? Which I'm sure you're dying to hear, because I am always positive. And ultimately, I think this is going to fall under a pretty good race, but not a great race, due to, I think it ultimately comes down to stages, because when we got, it comes down to not having enough horsepower and having too much grip, but it ultimately comes down to not, having long enough runs in these races. We have these weird halfway runs where we're running halfway and pitting in the stage, and then by the time we finally get these runs at the end of the race, we had this super long, these two really long runs at the end of this race, broken up by one caution for Ryan Blaney. We'll get to Ryan Blaney here in a moment, but yeah, it's toward the end of these runs where you get to see these guys actually become the difference ultimately. Now, it's kind of a double-edged sword, because you get to a point, well, not really a double-edged sword, that's probably not the right way for me to put it, but it gets to a point where it's so hard to get off the wall that guys who it's a dividing line. The guys who can do it are going to move through the field, and the guys who can't do it are going to get passed by those guys. And I know that might sound a little unremarkable as far as analysis goes, but that's pretty much where it's at. And like I said, we had 60 lap run to end this race. Yeah, I don't know. That's where the money's at for me, is when you get to these long runs and guys can, tires wear out and you can't just pit because you still got you're running halfway through a stage or whatever it is. You got what you got, and you got to run it, or you're going to take yourself out. So, yeah, I think if we could get more of these long runs and stop throwing cautions for things that aren't incidents on the racetrack, like stage cautions, we would see a lot better racing. And it wouldn't always be that way. Every single race wouldn't be the world's biggest banger. But when it was a banger, it'd be a fucking banger. Instead, we neuter our product to where it's pretty close all the time, but everyone's got basically the same shit and it never runs long enough to make a difference. And it looks better on paper, but in reality it's not. So, yeah, I don't know. If you need more evidence, I don't know what to tell you. Like I said, just compare the first stage of this race to the third stage of this race. I think it's pretty clear and evident, if I'm being completely honest. All right, now that I'm done with my weekly NASCAR sucks rant, Ryan Blaney was one of the fastest cars today. I hesitate to say the fastest because they were great in clean air, and then as soon as they lost the clean air, they were noticeably not as strong. I don't want to say that they were bad because they were still really good, but over a long run like we had, they couldn't really touch the 11 and the 5, I don't think. It was hard to tell because at no point did all three of those cars have the same tires when they were around each other, so it's really hard to tell. But from what it appeared, I would say that they were maybe the third or fourth best car. And unfortunately, they hired Dr. Oppenheimer to build their engines, and they've been detonating at an alarming rate. I would say 2 engine failures in 6 races in this current era of NASCAR is an alarming rate. You could have, part of me almost wonders if they're getting, I don't know. I feel like, cause you could get, the grill openings are completely wide open now. I wonder if it could have just been super unlucky and they got a couple things to go right through the radiator. I don't know. That's me baselessly speculating, but yeah, they're going to have to figure that one out. Yeah, I don't know. They were still in contention to win the race, so that cost them dearly, I would say. Yeah, they're having a rough start. Remember, all Blaney fans out there, don't be jumping into the bathtubs just yet. You're gonna win the championship anyway, so it's okay. Just let the rest of us have this one. Just chill out. It'll be fine. Wait till November. You'll be fine. Yeah. Shame for them, I guess. All right, that's pretty much all I got for this one. Let me know what you thought of the race. Leave a like if you enjoyed, dislike if you didn't, and be sure to tune in to Push to Pass later. The IndyCar race was certainly something of its own and had its own set of controversies. So, see ya.